timeless children's story, The Adventures of Pinocchio, written by Italian author Carlo Collodi in 1883, served as the inspiration for Lies of P. The fact that Pinocchio is a puppet that Geppetto made is the point of departure and destination for the majority of the parallels with Collodi's original story. Even if Pinocchio's nose doesn't grow as it usually does, his propensity to lie is still there, and has a significant impact on how the story unfolds. Lies of P is a game that, like Elden Ring or Bloodborne, truly has many endings that are determined by the decisions the player makes throughout the game. The action of the game takes place in a made-up town of Krat, a steampunk-inspired location. In this town, intricate automatons, known as puppets, have effectively replaced the entire working class. This is made possible by a resource known as Ergo, which enables the puppets to function in a manner that is significantly more advanced than any other technology. The citizens of Krat have privileged lives, with practically every inconvenient need met for them. As a result, a significant number of wealthy socialites choose to make the city their permanent residence. Shortly after the puppet frenzy has begun, which is an event in which every puppet in Krat suddenly turns insane and begins to massacre every living thing around the town, the story of Lies of P begins. Sophia, a character whose design was influenced by the Blue Fairy character from the original story, is the one who rouses Pinocchio from his slumber and convinces him to help Geppetto, the most famed puppet creator in Krat, to put a stop to the puppet frenzy. Pinocchio then has to battle his way through Krat in order to rescue Geppetto, and then he must defeat the Puppet King in addition to a group known as the Alchemists. The Puppet King is the one who is in control of the frenzied puppets, while the Alchemists are a group of scientists who are trying to further human development by harnessing the petrification disease, which is a disease that broke out at the same time as the puppet frenzy and converts humans into violent monsters in the style of Resident Evil. The truths and lies that Pinocchio reveals during Lies of P will have an effect on key plot aspects, most notably the type of ending that the player receives, but regardless of the player's decisions, the primary story details that have been laid out up until this point will not change. Now let's talk about the endings. Once the player has navigated their way around the Isle of the Alchemists and beaten the guy who serves as either the game's final or second to last boss, depending on the player's ultimate decision, they will be presented with two different major endings from which to choose. Pinocchio eventually locates Geppetto, who had been kidnapped and transported to the island by the Alchemists. Geppetto congratulates the puppet on his success and informs Pinocchio that he can transform himself into a real boy. Geppetto can complete this task with nothing more than the heart of Pinocchio. After that, it is up to the player to determine whether or not Pinocchio will voluntarily hand up his heart to Geppetto. Geppetto will attempt to forcibly extract Pinocchio's heart by activating the true final boss, which is known as the Nameless Puppet, if Pinocchio does not give him his heart. In the end, even if the player is successful in defeating the Nameless Puppet, a cutscene will still play showing the boss waiting in line to murder Pinocchio. However, Geppetto will stand in between them to protect his most cherished creation, and he will ultimately perish in the process. The final words Geppetto speaks to Pinocchio before passing away are determined by the decisions the player makes during the game. Geppetto will either reprimand Pinocchio or apologize to him before passing away. In the event that Pinocchio does give Geppetto his heart, Geppetto will give the puppet one final embrace and praise before removing the heart from Pinocchio. As Pinocchio lies on the ground, dying, the last thing he sees is Geppetto pouring his heart into something in a case that comes to life right as Pinocchio dies. This is the final thing Pinocchio sees as he passes away. In the end, it is revealed that Geppetto revived his deceased son Carlo by using Pinocchio's heart in conjunction with all of the ergo he had amassed through the murders of practically everyone in Krat. It concludes with a frightening final remark said by Geppetto, which is, "This finally feels like family." There are also aspects of the narrative that can be altered depending on the choices that Pinocchio makes, such as the eventual demise of Sophia, which is revealed to actually have been an illusion for the most of the game, and whose real body is mutated and dying on the Isle of Alchemists. Pinocchio has the ability to influence these aspects of the narrative. The ending of the game in which Pinocchio hides his heart from Geppetto can be prolonged with a scene in which Pinocchio transfers Sophia's life force into a puppet and then collapses in her arms if a precise set of lies and other actions are done during the game. This extends the original ending in which Pinocchio hides his heart from Geppetto. It is unclear, at least as of this point of time, whether Pinocchio gives up his life for her, or whether he merely passes out from tiredness in order to save her. And I hope that all of your questions have been answered now that Lies of P, the tale, has been explained. Thank you for listening, please subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.